Holbrook New Media.
This is Jeffrey K. Holbrook. Welcome to the audio feed from holbrooknewmedia.com. Today, Geoff and Jeffrey, the weekly catch-up. We hope you enjoy the audio version. If you want to see what we look like, I will embed the video for this episode at holbrooknewmedia.com.
Hello, everyone. I'm Geoff Blanchard.
And I'm Jeffrey K. Holbrook, and this is the weekly catch-up.
And we're back. Show number 59.
59. We're moving on up the line there.
Yes, 50, and nearly getting to the end of the year as well. It's getting quite quick, getting up to the end of the year, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I know, as I said, it's nearly October, but it's gone like that for me. I don't know about you, but very quick for me.
It's been a tough year for us, things with my father going on, and my mother's got some medical issues. We had somebody break into the house and all that kind of stuff. So it's been a really, really tough year. My wife and I were talking about that yesterday. It'd be kind of nice to start a new year and just see how that goes.
But don't you find, though, sometimes I think, gee, that's been nearly a year since we did that. And then I'll think back, no, it was 3 years ago or something, or 2 years ago. It's just going so damn quickly. Mm-hmm. This year's just seemed to have fly past so much. And you wouldn't believe, well, I don't believe it, that on Saturday night, when early Sunday morning, we put our clocks back an hour for daylight saving time. So already it's ready for summertime on Sunday. But I thought it can't be that. It only seems like yesterday that we'd put them. What do we do? We put them forward. I think we lose an hour. That's right. Yes, mm-hmm. We put them back in. Fall back, don't we? Like you fall back in and spring forward. So yes. So we spring forward.
They keep making ours shorter and shorter as far as standard time goes, and now it used to be before Halloween at the end of October. Now they don't do it until like about a week or two into November before we actually have our clocks to fall back.
We do it the other way around. We're very hard to follow, figure out when is it the right time to do it. Mm-hmm. So they made it very easy: 6 months on, 6 months off. So
that makes sense, but they seem to like daylight saving time so much. I'm trying to figure out, I'm still not sure why they continue to do it. It seems to me that, it wouldn't hurt anything for us just to leave it the way it is on daylight saving time. I don't know why. We just don't know.
I still don't know why we do it anyway. But there was something I heard a while back. There was a particular reason for it. But now in the modern age, I don't think we need it. It had something to do with the business and all that. But like we had one of the people up here said they didn't like it because they had to get up and milk the cows at a different time because the cows don't know any different. So they can't just put the clocks back. Mm-hmm. They just come at the same time, don't they? And then one person said that their curtains get faded more.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that could happen over time, I guess. I always thought it had something to do with agriculture, to give the farmers, an extra hour to work the crops and to harvest and things like that. That's what I thought. But
yeah, that's what I thought. It had something like that. There was a particular reason, but with a lot of modernization and mechanization, they don't need it these days, but it would make it. I'm in favour. I don't mind, but I'd like it to stay on all the time, rather let's stay in summertime all the time. But then again, I suppose where we live, we're in a nice place for the way the light comes and goes. But if you go up to like our Florida type thing, it would the time it would be dark too long in the morning, and they like to walk on the beaches and that in the nice sunny. In the sun, but they won't like to do it in the pitch black, which I can understand. But they don't mind it being darker early at night because that's fine. But early in the morning, when everybody's up and about going swimming, they want to have a bit more like daylight saving. It still has it's darker in the morning, isn't it, and lighter at night. And we don't have not like in England when we don't have twilight, so it still gets dark here about 9 o'clock, even in daylight saving time. So.
Okay. So one way or the other, I guess it's more of a local phenomenon for whoever decides to do it or whoever doesn't, I guess. Huh.
Well, I'll lose an hour's sleep because you just push it forward.
Right.
Going back, I love it because you get an hour extra, you get it back. So never mind that going backwards.
Yeah, I do like the fall thing. It's we're getting ready to have ours. Hey, next week, go ahead and say there's going to be a guest co-host. Actually sitting in this chair right here, and it's Jonathan Gill, and he's been in the chat room before on the show. He is he's a podcaster, and his podcast is called Remnant Bible Fellowship, and you can find it at remnantbiblefellowship.libsyn.com. And anyway, but he'll be here, and I won't be available. I'm actually having some dental work done, so I'm not going to feel much like talking. And so we've talked about it, and he's excited. He wants to come over here, and I think he wants to talk to you some about your video. The things you do for the video broadcasting and stuff like that, the software you use, things like that. He was talking about, he's interested in finding out about that because, he's pretty much getting the audio thing down now, and he's curious about what we do with video. So I think you guys probably be talking about that a little bit.
And also, I was just trying to figure out just today. I thought change it up a little bit as well, and just because I was thinking I could even do it with just a normal webcam. Don't have to have this camera. And I was sort of thinking if I want to move this machine upstairs again and not have to do the green screen, can I still do it with the normal camera and still get the same quality and the sound quality? I don't know, but it's just. Because I'm really missing out on having this machine upstairs because where I've got this here, I enjoy doing this, but I don't enjoy sitting in here all the time. If I want to sit on the machine and spend 3 or 4 hours editing, I'd much prefer the open room upstairs. So I tend not to do it as much these days. But it's a catch-22. Do I buy another machine? But I don't really want one. But do I need one for that? But then Rick keeps saying, well, get a Windows machine. You can get a much more powerful window. I know I can, but it's just a big jolt to change over to all the different things for that as my video editing machine. So just a little bit awkward. And then I put it on here. I've got the facility to do the MacBook Pro. But the only problem with the MacBook Pro, I don't have, it's got one Thunderbolt port. And I need 2 because I need the one for the camera capture and then one for the other monitor. Now, so I can do one there. So
can you do it like you can on a PC with a USB thing where you can just plug a multi-port into it and have more that way? Does Thunderbolt work that way?
No, they don't.
That's not very funny.
No, but what they say, but you can daisy chain up to 5 different devices. Yeah, that's fine, but you've got to find devices that have an in and an out. Because my monitor has an in, doesn't have an out. The video capture card thing has an out. No, just one thing, not an in. And my Drobo, it has an in and an out. That's fine, but that's just one, just makes it one. And then people say, get one of these docks. Yes, you get one of these docks. It's got 2 Thunderbolt ports on it. But one of them is used to connect into your machine. So I've still only got one. So, it's the one that drives all the USB. It drives from the Thunderbolt port. So there's no Thunderbolt out there that gives you more than 2 ports. So have you heard of the iMac Pro coming out this Christmas?
No, I've heard the name. Again, I haven't. I'm really not well versed on the Macs because I really haven't messed with them any.
Well, this is the only one I've ever heard of that's got 4 Thunderbolt ports, 4 dedicated Thunderbolt ports. But, they say that machine's starting off at $6,000. So that's lost me already because I think that's way too much overkill for me. But that's why if I get a new one of these, at least that's why this one's down here, because it's got the 2 Thunderbolts. I've got the one Thunderbolt going to the other monitor and one to I've got the other one going to the Drobo, but because the Drobo's got a throughput, I can go back to that. But with the MacBook, I can only have 2 things on. So I have the MacBook itself, the camera capture, or the monitor. So which one do I do? That makes it a bit awkward. So
the last time I heard of anything being daisy chained was the Commodore 64, the 1541 drive, then the, I mean, I don't remember daisy chaining anything since then.
Our Thunderbolts do quite often, or hard drives do a lot. These drive because they say you can put up to 5 drives in daisy chain it that way. So so series, so they can do up to 5 devices on that. But it's just finding something that's got the throughput to be able to do that, which that's been a problem that I've found. So and I'm a bit. If I try the laptop here, I could do that, but it has to go through the webcam because the webcam doesn't need the capture device. So then I can use the monitor. But then the webcam doesn't have enough power, doesn't seem to like the green screen. So it's very strange. I don't know. Just doesn't seem to like it. But I might have another try with that. But and then because I really would like to put this back upstairs and start doing some video editing, because I was just going through some footage from the old Panasonic camera, and I thought I haven't uploaded that from back in probably March when I took the camera out, and I thought, gee, I haven't done anything with it and hadn't even uploaded it. So I thought that's a bit awkward. I should really start doing something, and I really enjoy doing it, but it's just getting stuck into there for a few hours that might turn into a day sort of work just to have a play around. But I do enjoy it.
Oh yeah, like I say, there's those things that you really, really love to do, but again, the environment is important.
Yes, that's right.
And I understand that. But then again, the green screens and the fancy backgrounds and stuff you guys have, I think that's really cool.
I do too. I enjoy that.
I mean, and the thing is, it also makes it to where you can do the lower thirds and the, all that kind of stuff too. So, it's a trade-off one way or the other. Sounds like you have choices to make. I think before it's over with, I think you'll buy another machine.
I think so too, but I can still do the lower thirds without the green screen. Don't need that, but I still just reckon it looks so much nicer having a proper backdrop rather than just a blank screen or something. So on there, your green screen looks really good with it. Your picture of a room there, you see, with different things that you keep changing the picture every week. So
yeah, like I say, I have to do a little bit of editing each time in order to do that. Yeah, I don't think that's one thing I was just noticing. I don't think it likes that blue shirt back there. Like whenever
doesn't it?
Yeah, see how it shifts. Yeah, that is actually a very. Let me show you what it is. It's actually a very muscular Cookie Monster.
Hey, let's have a look at that. So,
you can't. Yeah, the way you can't hardly see it. It's a really muscular Cookie Monster off of Sesame Street. Seen back
that's there? A bit. Yes. Oh, yes, I can see it.
Yeah. Well,
Hulk, definitely can see it.
Yeah, but like you say, now I move and it shifts the color.
Yeah,
it doesn't like the blue shirt.
No, it doesn't. And that's what the thing with the webcams, because they try to adjust and do the best thing that they can, but sometimes it's
on a continual basis.
That's why they say when you've got the proper lights, if you have something on fully auto, it makes you too dark because it's trying to say, there's too much light, I better shut down. Whereas if you have the lights, you have it on manual, you want it to do that. I can just see it's just flickering there.
Yeah, I'm trying not to move, but it's still flickering back and forth. Still has decisions to make.
I'd say picture goes from orange to bright orange. The picture.
Yeah, one or the other. That's true. Something else is going to be coming up too. The RelateCast network, where we send the video to, is also going to be setting up their own audio feed. And so there's been a little bit of delay in getting that put together, but they're going to be doing it. And as soon as the audio feed is up and running, I am going to discontinue putting out the audio show at Holbrook New Media and go ahead and send it through there. And on the audio feed for RelateCast, it will not only be the weekly catch-up, but they also have a few other shows on there that'll be on that feed, and you can check out all the shows that they do. And I'm going to subscribe and start listening from there. And I'm kind of looking forward to it because I'll still be, podcasting and video casting and stuff like that. I just won't be a podcast producer anymore and doing it on the audio on this end of it. So I'm looking forward to that.
you'll still be the producer because you're still producing it, so because you're talking on it, so you're doing that. But that makes it life easy because you can still have you're going to have a link on your site as well to it, can't you? You can just have
as a matter of fact, I'm going to alter the subscription things and everything. The site will be up for another 6 months. And I'm going to alter all the things on the site and everything like that to where they will point, the audio things will point to the other, the new audio feed. And then also I'm going to have something on there to where they can find for the video part of it, to find our Facebook page.
I'm looking forward to that with the audio side of these shows, because quite often I miss out on a lot of the other ones, the e-learn chat and that. And Lectura Live. I
like Life Edge.
And Life Edge, because I don't get the time. Whereas when you're driving along or doing the gardening, walking the dog, I can listen to it. And if there's something that you really have to see, you can go back and look at the YouTube version of it as well. But I think I'll much, because most of these shows, like ours, it's all about the audio. You don't have to see it a lot of the time. And there's you said once in 10,000 times, we might say, have a look at this, like last week where you showed the Happy Hollister's book that you got, but you just look at this.
Mm-hmm. I always try to be as descriptive as I can because I came from audio, so I'm used to.
That's right.
I'm used to that, but yeah, I am totally looking forward to it too because again, I've been in a habit of watching this show on the video before I edit the audio. Just in case there's something happen, like we, had dropped the call or something like that, and I'll pull some of that out. And it also would, before give me ideas about maybe what about the title or something like that. But now we're working that out right after the show. So that's good. And, anyway, yeah, I really, on the go, I'm really looking forward to being able to listen to the shows on the go. And because, like you said, the other shows, I have not really had the time just to sit and watch a video. You have to stop everything you're doing. And so having the audio on the road, I have a 40-minute commute to work. And, through the course of the week, I can get these shows listened to. And I really have wanted to and just haven't had the opportunity. And this is going to be great.
Because I listen every week to Leo Laporte's This Week in Tech and Mac Break Weekly, and sometimes he's got the Tech Guy. And with that's about 3, 4, 5, 8 to 10 hours worth of listening. And I thought if it was viewing, you'd just be sat there doing nothing, because if you have it on YouTube, you just can't have the sound going and do something else. You've just got to be there, sat there watching it. Whereas if you put it on your phone, put a set of headphones in, you can go do the gardening, ironing, whatever you want to do, and get all these other jobs done, and while you're listening to the thing. But I'm sure people must see me and think, what's that fella doing? Because I'm doing it and then chuckling along the way. The other day I was on lunchtime having a walk, listening to a podcast, and they were saying something funny in there, and I'm chuckling away. And then you walk past people and think, oh, they don't know. They just think, what's he on? What drugs he on today? Or something. Have a little giggle to yourself.
Somebody brought that up at work the other day, that now seeing people talking to themselves doesn't have the same implications it used to. It used to be some old senile person walking along and talking, and then they now you expect to see people talking to themselves, because they have the telephone and they're plugged in, and and off they go, and they're just talking. So, you just now if they are talking and you look at them and you say something, they'll just go, and then you know that it's done, and that's what's happening.
Have you ever had one of those conversations with somebody that you're not actually having a conversation with them, but they think you are? Mm-hmm. So whatever you say, they think you're talking to them, but you're talking to the other person on the phone that they don't know. But whatever you're saying fits into what they want to hear. And they walk off and you've had a whole conversation without saying a darn thing to them. So.
Well, it can fit for, a fairly extended period of time. It's just hilarious. I think it is. Yep, it totally is.
I think so. And as I said, I've had other ones where with the email, with how easy it is just to email. I had a 6-month conversation to and fro with somebody, and then I kept meeting up with them because it was a work colleague, and never seemed to understand what I was talking about. And he was, a bit vague on what the emails I'd been sending. And it wasn't until 6 months later that one of the communications said, Geoff, I don't want to be rude, but what are you talking about? I have no idea. And I said, but you said you did. No, I didn't. So what it was, the person I was talking to wasn't the person I was sending the email to, but they thought they must have not read mine, and there was, I better not say I haven't seen it. So they was pretending they had, and I must have deleted it. And then I was responding back to this other, and the other person wasn't saying, they was being polite, thinking, I must have missed an email. Because it was just a few letters difference in the surname, but it was the same first name. But because everybody was trying to do the correct thing, I bet you I've just deleted his email because I wasn't interested in, I better not let on. And it was all because I was emailing one person and talking to a different person.
It's kind of like the emperor's new clothes. I mean, you'd have this thing to where everybody is pretending, that things are okay. And it was like that old story of the emperor's new clothes. That, I mean, a lot of people really do that because, you want to be polite.
Yes.
And you don't want to offend them. And then there's some people that know that people do that and they take advantage of you. That way. They set up situations where they can take advantage of you. A lot of telephone scammer type people will do that whenever they call and act like they're with the IRS or something like that. And
we've had one today on the work. There's been one that the IRS, our equivalent's been sending everybody in the whole country. Oh, you've been this one, you're entitled to a refund. Click here to get your tax refund. And I've got to edit that email about 5 times today. I thought there's going to be some fools that think that the IRS actually gives money back. I thought they don't do that without you demanding it back. So then they don't go. Even if they owe you money, they're never going to tell you that unless you ask for it, are they?
I don't think so. I don't think so. No, like I say, they generally hold on to it and keep gaining interest on it as much as they can before it comes around to it. I think the big thing going on in the country right now that everybody's having a big deal about is the NFL players not not honoring the flag and the national anthem and stuff like that. What's your take on that from down there?
Well, I just think it's quite strange because it was always, to me, America was always, it was the national anthem and the flag always, no matter what. Mm-hmm. And it just seems very, very sad to me because it was the sort of thing that everybody seemed to look up, think no matter what it was when the national anthem played, everybody was American. Mm-hmm. And that was it. And there just seems to be so much of a divide now that some people don't even want your national anthem. They think it's horrible and you can't. And I always liked that, but the national anthem. But it just seems such a divide these days. We're quite sad, I think. So,
yeah, I mean the idea that I mean it's like the entire country is so bad. I mean that there's nothing good about the country, I guess, and so you just don't honor the flag and you don't honor it. Now, why they stay is beyond me, other than those several millions they're making playing football. Why, if the country is so bad, why would you stay? You've got the money to go anywhere. The big deal is what it comes down to, the people who are complaining. Now, I see people who protest all the time saying that the people who want the flag honored have no right to protest, that they shouldn't say anything about it. Well, wait a minute, because the other side always has these amazingly large groups constantly in cities running around with signs and protesting everything. I mean, you never know what's going to be protested. And the people who protest this are generally not the average protester, but they're saying things on national media. I watched a video the other day of a guy take up all of his Washington Redskins stuff. He had a real nice jacket on and just all kinds of different merchandise, hats, different things like that, and burn it right on the video, as his protest, basically the idea that they weren't honoring the flag, and now he's done with the team, and that's the end of it. Football is such a religion in this country. I mean, it's a religion is what it is. There's people that, what makes it very, very simple, it really comes down to a very simple thing. are you going to stick with National Football League football, or are you going to stick with the flag? That's your choice. Now, there's actually a regulation that says how this is supposed to be done. And I saw a copy of it the other day. I mean, it's very specific. It says the players have to stand with their helmet in their left hand and their right hand over their heart. And it specifically says that they have to be, doing, showing reverence and, whether they're singing or not or whatever. But it's a very specific way that they are supposed to stand at attention or whatever. And they have, just waived that, I guess. It's still in the rules, but I guess they just waived it. But what it comes down to is the NFL will only do something that involves money. So the only way, now they will do what is politically correct simply because they do not believe that conservatives can hurt them financially. So if there was a very large boycott, and it's not like you can't see football at all if you don't watch the NFL, you could just go to college football. I think that's better anyway, because once the players are making more than the coaches, I think that changes the whole dynamic. And like you say, these people have been spoiled to the, and worshiped to the, the ends of the earth. So if there was an actual, if there was an actual boycott that actually hurt them, like 1 million people stopped watching or something and stopped buying merchandise because they have revenue sharing. The Cleveland Browns get something every time the Washington Redskins sell something. Everybody gets some. So it's an even amount that goes around the league, no matter who sells, no matter who's winning, doesn't matter. Everyone gets the same amount of money for merchandising. Well, if people stopped buying merchandise and people stopped watching, a fair chunk of people stopped watching and it started hurting them financially, they would rethink the thing. And so for people that it's very serious about the flag, I think the main thing that they really have to do, are you going to watch NFL or are you going to, revere the flag? You have your choice, whichever one you want to do. Now, is football your religion? Which is more important, the NFL or the flag? And it's a very, very simple, it's simple for me because I'm not so much into football anyway, but so really it isn't a decision for me at all. But I will disclose that honestly. I said, but when it comes down to it, there are people, that care about the flag that also have football as a religion. So it'd be kind of interesting to see how many people permanently wean themselves off of the NFL if they can. There might be a short-term dip in watching or something, but I have a feeling a lot of those people will just go right back to it. As soon as it blows over, they'll be right back watching football again, if that's, even if they make that initial move. So the NFL does not believe they can be hurt. They're going with who they believe the winning side's going to be, which is political correctness, which is the way it is in this society. And, political correctness as far as, everything goes anti-patriotism every time. It's just the way it is. It's anti-country every time political correctness takes you in that direction. It's just kind of a weird doctrine,
Well, like there was saying with political correctness, like you've also got people there wanting to taking down statues and monuments of different things of history. And yes, same. The thing is, I object to all those things. No matter what you say, whether it's good or bad, it is your history. And it marks a point, whether it's good or bad, you can't change it. And if you look back at every country's, there's things that everybody's going to be ashamed of and don't want to that, but it's there. You can't erase it. And so no matter where you come from, somewhere in the past, that country's going to have done horrible things to people. And that's just the way the world is. But there should be, I think, no matter, even if people, but those monuments are there as a symbol to that horrible time, even if they want to do that. But I'm dead against just rewriting history just because, for political correctness some of the time. But it's anyway.
Well, the first thing that Hitler, Mussolini, the Romans would do, the ISIS has done, they start to erase the history of the places they're conquering. That's the first thing that they do.
Get all,
burning the
all
books, tearing down the monuments. As soon as Saddam Hussein, was out of power, they immediately started tearing down his statues and trying to erase that. I mean, it happens. It's a sign that you are dismantling the current society. And so, it's really kind of an ominous sign, I think. That all of a sudden they're just going to take down everything. And what's interesting, their grandchildren will never believe slavery ever happened.
No, because there will be no sign of it. But people, we do forget. If there's nothing there in our faces reminding of us of a monument that say, "Gee, remember that," we'll forget about it, and they'll do the same horrible things again. That's what always worries me. They're there for a purpose, but as I say, with political correctness. Thing that worries me sometimes is people do the political correctness just to show that they are politically correct, not that they believe in it or whatever, but just to show that it is sometimes I think you've just got to be politically incorrect sometimes. But I still think your history is your history, good or bad, but it's there to serve a purpose. And as I said, you to get rid of that, we'll soon forget about it and start doing the horrible things again. But anyway, I still think the world's we think about the world being such a horrible place, but we're always good on the horrible things, but we're never concentrate on any of the good things. But I think in general, I think we still live in a very good world. Do you believe that or not?
As a Christian, I believe in the basic depravity of man. I believe that mankind will do the wrong thing if ever they can get by with it.
That's right. Yes.
I think the rule of law, the consistent rule of law, is what, because patriotism and crowd rule, mob rule, will just sway back and forth and change and change and change. The only way to have stability is to have a system of rules and laws that people are forced to live by, and there are consequences when they do bad things. That's what makes people be reasonable people. I don't believe that people in and of themselves are good. I think there are people who are raised well and they have a sense of law and justice in their hearts. But I think in general, people will do whatever they can get by with. That's why perfectly decent, normal people go to war, and then you find that they're abusing the populations of the places they're there, and they come back and they start living their normal life again because the environment is different. There is no, there's no consequences for what they're doing. And so they behave accordingly with what they can get by with. Never that they planned to when they went over there, hey, I'm going to break some, I'm going to do some human rights violations. No, it's just they're in the situation, they're human, and they start doing it. And again, people with a strong moral code can resist that, but very few other people can.
And then there's others who try to resist, but then they have to go along with the mob, or else they get
killed or
something if they don't do what everybody else is doing.
Right. Anytime you have the absence of law, people with very strong personalities will rise to the top and be a dictator. In small groups, even in groups of 20 or 30 people, like a military, like a squad of something, whatever. And even without that, you always see in these countries that don't have the rule of law, you see a warlord of some type come up. Whoever has the strongest personality is the person who is telling everyone else what to do, because there are people who conquer and lead, and then there are the ones that follow. I've seen this happen in churches. Somebody with a strong personality takes over and tells everybody else what to do. It's people. It's what people do. And down through history, you're going to have the people who are just trying to get along and mind their own business. And then you have the people that absolutely must dominate their fellow man. They're here. They're still here. I know people that I knew in a situation of law and order that if they could, they would have totally been Hitler or a Grand Inquisitor or something like that, because they love to hurt other people however they can. Physically, they can't get by with it, or they would be in jail. But maybe and of course, the first thing they want to be is a boss. And then they try to destroy other people's lives if they can from that position. I've known people like that. I mean, because they are that way, and the people that are just trying to do their jobs and get by and go home and be with their families or whatever like that, they get dominated by these harsh, mean people. And again, I believe people do whatever they can get by with or however they're raised or trained. That does have something to do with it. But some people never lose the need to conquer. They need to dominate everyone.
Yes, can you imagine if it wasn't how nice the world would be if everybody got along?
Yeah, you just wonder if there'd be anybody that had a strong enough personality to actually get things done then, or would everybody just kind of be sitting around not doing anything? Because I have found out you have three kinds of supervisors. You have the kind that are very harsh and mean and dominating, and they want to do things to you just for their own personal aggrandizement. Then you have the kind that are really soft and sweet and everything, and just, okay, the real nice ones won't give you the tools that you need to work because they're so passive.
That's right.
Okay. And so you need someone who is polite, businesslike, and has a backbone to go to their superiors to get the tools you need to do your job. The ones in the middle are the ones that you really need. You don't need the really super sweet ones. You definitely don't want the hard, mean ones. You want decent, businesslike people. You're in this thing together, and they will view their job as, I am the one that facilitates the employees to get these things done. And they need these tools. I need to go and fight for them to get those tools.
Yep, that's right. Because as you said, you have somebody who's your boss and won't go fight for you. That's so hard to work under, isn't it? But then if they have somebody that just lays the law down, but you follow it, and that's the thing is, they're not being mean, but they'll lay the law down. You follow that, you get along well with them. These people and then if they don't obey others, they stray off it and makes life really awkward just in the workplace. So, yeah, I can say that I definitely agree with you there. It's, you don't want somebody who's been said, no, you're not having that. Oh, well, okay, well, fine, I won't ask again. And then do you get hauled over the coals because you're not doing a very good job? Well, because I needed this. Well, why didn't you say so?
I did.
Yeah. Well, so you've got to have some sort of aggression. But as I said, hey, there's a regression in being horrible, I suppose. And I think a lot of the time they use like ADHD for the kids when they're just being horrible. There's always a syndrome. Now, there's always a syndrome that covers somebody's behavior, isn't there, these days? It's not that they're just mean and horrible. It's just there's a syndrome behind it.
No, okay. The psychological community, the psychiatrists, psychologists, and all those people, that's the only medical profession that I know that can make up their own diseases. I mean, what happens is every year they come out with a new list of the latest exciting things. Now, do you think that down over the centuries that humans are so much different that they're getting new things they never got before?
No,
I imagine during the 7 Years' War, during these Roman wars, they had, post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Yeah.
People would just be, and I know, and I will say my father-in-law had some from World War II. He was captured by the Japanese. I actually watched friends, tortured and executed in front of him. Ended up getting kind of wounded himself and ended up laying under this pile of dead people in a hole while they shot down in there trying to make sure everybody was dead. And he wouldn't talk about it very much until toward the end, and then he started having hallucinations and things about it. But it altered his life, but he never got help for it because it wasn't defined. But they make up stuff every year, 2 or 3 new fancy diseases, and immediately a bunch of people are diagnosed with it because they're hunting for them.
Yeah, they're trying to find somebody that matches their philosophy on something to make. Oh, see, I proved it. And there's nearly always somebody, but like you said, that there's always been these things. But the thing is 2,000 years ago, whatever, people didn't live past 35 or something, and so it's just these things develop. And as people get older and last longer. Different things are about, but that's the thing. So you might not hear of them too many. But now, somebody who suffered from something from an ill, you hear about it because they live twice as long or 3 times as long as they did back then. So back in the early days, they didn't have much to worry about as long as they got to 40, and they were quite happy.
Yeah, you were the village elder at 40, no question. But at the same time, though, they can just make it up because, okay, for instance, what if I develop, okay, I need a knee replacement. You can see that in an x-ray. Okay. But they didn't just say this year, we're going to invent knee replacements. No, it come down to this guy really needs a knee replacement. Okay. Cause I can see it. The guy's limping. He can barely walk and, sometimes and everything's like that. Well, in the psychological community, it's kind of like, okay, this year we're going to be hunting for these couple of things. And so it's like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, let's find. And they immediately find them. I mean, every one of us is diagnosable with something. No matter how well adjusted you are, no matter how well your life is going. I'm sorry, you've been married for 34 years. You're having this regular life. Everything's fine. There's something wrong with you. We just know it, and we're going to find out what it is.
Yes, you haven't got that gene that gives you the zest for adventure because you're too happy with what you've got. You need this extra zest. You're missing that gene, so you're diagnosed with the complacency gene.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. No, exactly. They just say you're way too satisfied and you need to be a little more uncomfortable with your life so that you can, they make it up. Every year they make up new things and then start diagnosing people with them and then start medicating them. And people now, I think, just when I was a kid, okay, my father-in-law never got help, never admitted he had any problem, never had anything like that. We've gone from that to everyone has a problem. Nothing is ever your fault. And we are going to blame it on your mother. And I don't know. I find the whole thing, and it's not saying that there aren't people that need psychological help. I'm just saying that 3/4 of the people who are on medication probably don't need it.
That's what upsets me more for that is that the poor people who do suffer from these real serious conditions don't get the help that they need because there's all these other people jump on the bandwagon. Oh, I suffer from this. And they don't really, but that just sounds nice. But the people because there are a lot of the times people suffering from quite serious things, but they don't get the help because there's all these other ones, like we just said before. Those people who yell and scream the loudest get the help. And these usually, and a lot of people who have these conditions, they're not out there saying, oh, I've got a problem, come and help me. They just suffer in silence a lot of the time. And that's where they won't talk about it. And whereas now the ones who come out, usually it's because I might get a bit of sympathy for that one if I come out and do that.
Well,
but people who need it.
Well, the thing that bothers me is teenagers. They home in, just a second, I'll move his camera again. Okay. They home in on teenagers. Now, the whole point of being a teenager is to have angst and to be trying to figure out what life is all about and not being sure of your friends and not being sure if your parents love you, not being sure. That's what being a teenager is all about. But as soon as there's a little bit of doubt, okay, and creating drama, that's what it's about. It's, when you're a baby, you start everything with, it's all about me. So you cry when you want something, everything's about you as a baby. The point of growing up and going through childhood is that when you become an adult, you're supposed to have learned somewhere along the way that it's not all about you anymore, and you have responsibilities, and you're taking care of your job, your family, and whatever else you have that is responsible. And so it's not all about you anymore. Okay, and that's that transition from baby up to adult. It's not about you. Well, the psychological community has made it to where teenagers have a place they can act out. And sanctioned acting out. They just have to act like they've got something. And they hear about it. It's advertised. And they are so ready in the psychological community to hunt these people down and medicate them and give them something that all these teenagers, some, yes, have problems. But there are so many that were just acting out They were diagnosed with whatever they made up this year, and they spend the rest of their lives with this thing that now they can get special leave and special treatment because they have this thing that's really not a thing at all. I mean, it's really kind of weird.
They were saying that on the radio here today, that there was some people saying the school levels and are dropping with people passing these subjects and doing as opposed to Singapore and China. And they said they're doing much better. And somebody said, yes, but the difference between there and here, their children have been taught that life isn't rosy. You've got to fight for it. And sometimes you get things wrong. It says here, everybody's a winner. It says you're not allowed to tell, you can't, all the children, when they have an event, they all get a participation medal. They're also there then. But they said, but when they get into the high schools and they get into college, no, you're not good enough. But nobody's ever told them that before. But, and then they said the pass rate here, they said the pass rate is 30%.
Boy.
I said, what? So they said, all they need to know is 30% of it to go on. And they said, well, because we don't want to keep them down because it'd be devastating if you tell them they're no good. But then they're not learning as much.
The junior high and high school I went to, we switched over to I was going to public schools up through the 6th grade. And then there was some kind of a local protest about the type of books that were being put in. And so then we were switched over and put in a private Protestant Christian school. In the 8th grade, they instituted a new curriculum program. And how much do you think you had to get to pass in that program?
10%.
80%.
80%. See that?
Or you didn't pass.
Yeah.
You did not pass. And if you failed it, you had to do it over that section all over again, about a 3-week unit. You had to do it all over again. And so it was 80%. When I was in public school, I was scraping by with C's. In this school, I ended up making A's and ended up being valedictorian before it was over with, because you were taught to set goals for how much you thought you could get done. This was under guidance. You were trained to set goals, and then you had to get it done. Once you set the goal, you were committed, no matter what happened. And so you were expected to do it. There wasn't the, I don't have to do it. It's no big deal. And however much you set, you got it done at work, or, then you would have homework if you didn't finish it there. And so you were the one that gave yourself homework because based on the thing. But if you tried to just not set anything and weren't traveling at all, and you can even graduate early if you finished early. I had a friend at work. He was a supervisor. He's retired now. His wife was about the only person I was ever in school with that was was younger than me, because I was 17 when I graduated from high school. And she graduated, got smart, and graduated a year early at age 16, and would have totally beat me out of being valedictorian. But it was because you could just excel and do the work. And whenever you first got there, since people were coming into it, not in the 1st grade at that point, but, just later on in junior high, whatever, they would test you to find out where you were at. So you may be in the 10th grade in science, the 8th grade in math. And so you had to start from wherever you really were. And so personal responsibility was what it was all about. The whole world, nothing is ever your fault again. Nothing is your fault. There's always somebody else or something else you can blame for it. And there's and again, one of my pet peeves on the whole planet, no personal responsibility ever.
No, yes, you got to take control of your own life, haven't you? At some point.
Well, no, but that's the thing. They never learn to.
No, and there was listening on the radio again today, and there was a teacher saying one of the reasons is there's all these things that teachers have to do other than teaching that get in the way, and all this curriculum that they have to teach that doesn't teach reading, writing, arithmetic, and history, but we've got to show about all the different political correctness courses, all these different things. But there was one person saying his 11-year-old kid comes home They said he knew all the different things about this and that. That's all around the world. There, that's great, but he couldn't tell you all the states in Australia and the capital cities. And there's not many. It's not like there's 50 like your place. Not that many. They said they couldn't tell them that. They said, but they knew all the other stuff that they have to teach, but none of the basics. As I said, that's where the problem is. And like you had to take responsibility for what you do in life. And as I said, that's what keeps us all law abiding. It's our future. You're going to wreck if you do the wrong thing, but they don't seem to learn that until, unfortunately, they're too old, and then they wreck their lives, don't they? That's the problem.
But then again, since it's no personal responsibility, they're actually in their parents' basement playing video games, and the parents bankroll them. So it's just as much the parents' fault, because they've been trained that they're not supposed to be, holding their children to any standard. I mean, there's nothing real about it. You just have to always make them feel good about themselves. And again, self-esteem is very important. But you get that through achievement, not through being a wimp and having it handed to you.
We've got a thing at the moment here where the people are demanding their inheritance now because they've got it hard, because they can't afford houses. So well, hang on. Your parents worked hard. How dare you demand an inheritance is a bonus if you get one. It's not an entitlement. To me.
No, an inheritance doesn't exist until the death of the parents.
And all, as I said, it's whatever. It's not. It's not there just to. They don't work all their lives just to pass it on to you. It's to keep them healthy and okay in their retirement. And if there's something left, yes, it does. But to me, it's not an entitlement. But they're saying here, we want it now, so we can buy a house and do all that. But we were saying here a bit before, said people have the priorities wrong. Yes, it's hard to buy a house, much harder than it was many years ago. But many years ago, people never used to go and find themselves for a year traveling around Europe and around the world and doing that. They said they didn't go out and, in the morning to have a cappuccino and a sandwich before they started work that cost them $12, $15 a day to do that.
Right.
They scrimped and same didn't have anything to pay for a house. But it's the same sort of thing. I know it is tough, but it's everybody does. Well, where did they go away this year? Oh, but years ago people never went away on holidays too much, did they? They just had to stay at home.
I think the first real vacation that we had, I was in the sixth grade, but I mean, we ended up traveling a fair amount with our family singing group, but that wasn't vacation, that was work. But we loved it. We enjoyed every minute of it, and that was great, but it wasn't going and seeing the sights and vacationing. We were going and singing and, doing that kind of stuff. But what's funny is the sense of entitlement, the people that feel that they are owed something, and it's because of the way they were raised. They, our generation was kind of bad about handing them too much, not expecting them to work for anything. We just gave it to them. And so they believe that they are entitled to a living, that we should be just bankrolling them. And a lot of parents that I know of have bankrolled their kids. I mean, what happened is I know kids that got married and their parents were immediately giving them $300 or $400 a month so they could buy a house. And the parents are giving them this money steadily to make the house payment. The house they buy is based on the fact that their parents are giving them this much money every month. I'm thinking, what in the world? How are the parents going to survive? How are they going to ever retire? How are they ever going to have anything? And then what's going to happen when they die? Because they didn't work up an inheritance because they gave it to them as they went.
So they won't have anything left, and then there's, we're on our own now.
Well, yeah, and you're about $400 down on your budget because your parents were paying it the whole time.
But it's a bit like here, then, when people get house, everybody wants the huge house with the 6 bedrooms, the three bathrooms, the dining room, the family room, and everything. Mm-hmm. But, you can't afford that a lot of the time, but then again, the build houses like that, so that's all there is around. Well, here, but everybody wants the big super duper house, but then they all both want to have the best cars as well.
Mm-hmm.
We can't have an old car. We've got to have a new car. Mm-hmm. And that's the way society's doing well, that's what keeps everybody going, I suppose. We all want the latest and the newest of things that keeps the economy going, doesn't it?
Well, I remember we were having so much trouble with the economy back in the, 2008 and 9, things like that. Mm-hmm. I remember President Obama later on telling everyone it was our patriotic duty to run up our credit cards.
Yeah,
to get the economy rolling again, because people were saving money, and he was telling them, don't save money. You need to spend and you need to use credit. I think put yourself further in the hole so we can save the economy. It's your patriotic duty to do this for your fellow citizens. And I'm thinking, what?
You can imagine this. I was holding off, but the president said I had to do it, so that's. Hey, darling, that's why I had to buy that thing. I didn't want that new car, but the president said I had to, so I'm helping the country.
Yeah,
it was a good a load of husbands, and it's usually men who do that. Oh, I had to do it because the president told me I had to buy the new car.
Country club membership? Oh, I'm right there. I had to. I'm sorry. It was my patriotic duty.
I'm sure there's a lot of that would have happened. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just the whole personal responsibility thing. I see people just screaming that they're owed this and they're owed that. And I'm thinking, what in the world? I mean, there are middle-class people that are constantly being milked, for money to give other people. What's interesting, I ran across something the other day. The way... and again, I know you guys had your deal back in the day with the Aboriginal people in Australia, the history. And of course, the people who were here, they call them Native Americans, who were here whenever the Europeans showed up, and how they were conquered and controlled. And, and again, everybody condemns that. Of course they do, because it was very brutal. And, every country seems to have its brutal past. But do you know how they were finally in the United States, how the Native Americans were finally controlled? They put them on reservations and put them on welfare. So if they leave the reservation, they lose the welfare. So they are being paid and bankrolled at a particular rate and pacified in that way. Welfare does that across the board. You pacify people when you pay for everything they have coming to them, and you control everything you have coming to them. You can conquer them with an army, maybe, but you don't have to if you just pay for everything. That is how you pacify a population, is by paying for everything and doling it out as you see fit. They get used to it 3, 4, 5 generations later. That's all the children have ever known, and you just give them their monthly checks, and they sit there, they stay in exactly that same economic thing. The ones that they want to control and can't control very well are the middle class, because they still have opinions, and they still have a little bit of a chance maybe to make a little extra money on their own and maybe make their lives a little better. So the hope is there. And those are the ones, though, they can't get too mad, because that's the only place the money is coming from. Is from the middle class. But you pacify entire populations, classes of society, by paying for everything. That's how you control them. That's how you conquer them in modern times, is to pay for everything.
I think I was saying the other week about the show I saw where they did that, and in one of these futuristic ones, paid everybody an income, but all they did on bikes, and the more they pedaled, the more money they got, and then they paid for different things along the way. But I thought, I can just see society getting that way. You pay everybody. What do you do all day? Well, you go on a bike and go, keep pedaling, and the more you pedal, the more you get, more money you get. And I suppose they could do that. They could do all the pedaling, could probably go down to the power grid. Do all
Yeah, I guess so. But like you say, though, that's still your middle class, though. The people that you pacify are the ones that you pay for, and they don't have to do anything. That's who you control and who you pacify with handouts, is that. And that's what welfare is all about. Not saying there's not people that need to be bankrolled, but there are, because they have health issues, different things going on. But there's so many people who are just collecting and collecting and collecting, and they're pacified. They are controlled. The government tells them what to do. The government tells them how to do it. They have to jump through whatever hoops the government invents as they go, and they are controlled and pacified because of welfare. That's what does it.
I had to fill in all the forms for my mother because every now and then they say because she's 90 and for her pension, you have to jump through so many hoops to get it, and I had to fill in all the forms. It took me a week to get to all the forms. Got phone interviews from the tax office and to make sure everything was right, and did all that. And it took about 6 weeks. We got all these papers going backwards and forwards and did it. And they sent me a letter, said, we've reevaluated your mother's pension and we've adjusted it to all the income levels and that. And we've deposited the different payment into a bank account. $1 was the difference. So they've changed it by $1 for all that.
I wonder how much money it took to do the evaluation.
My theory was always that mothers' things were easy to do with the masking, and I always say they must have a quota to fill, and they don't want to ask somebody that's awkward because it'll take them too much work to do. But if they ask somebody that they know what the answer is going to be before they ask them, but I thought all this rigmarole, and it was just said, we'll give you $1 more a month.
Well, at least they didn't take $1 away.
That's right. They didn't take the $1 away, but I thought all that rigmarole.
But the levels of control, the old saying that, if you pay the piper, you can call the tune. Well, the government makes people dance everywhere. Everything they pay for, they make you dance. And they're controlling and pacifying you by paying for everything. I mean, it's really a shocking thing, but you can look at history, and that's how real pacification happens, is whenever you set up that type of a system and you just start paying for everything, giving everything out, and people just slow down, stop working, and just sit and wait for the next check.
Oh, that would drive me crazy. I just couldn't do that. Just sit around waiting for the next one to come.
But I mean, if 3 generations before you, that's all they know.
You wouldn't know any different, would you? No.
Well, no, you wouldn't. Like my father was a good hard worker. His father was a hard worker. And so I have a legacy of expecting to pay my own way. But if nobody in your family ever did, you're several generations into being pacified and controlled.
And plus, if they didn't do that, you've got plenty of people to talk to all day.
And then all the protests you see are about, what are you going to give us? How come you haven't given us this? It's never about what you earn. It's what you're entitled to and what you've been handed and what you're, we want more. We want more. Don't want to do anything, but we want more.
We've got to another hour of conversation. It always gets when we start talking about political things, it can
it's kind of dark, doesn't it?
But it goes very quickly, though. So
it totally does.
Next week's show 60 with Jonathan Gill as a special co-host, which will be on the 4th of October. I'm sure that's the 4th of October, I think it is.
Yes, it is.
On there. So we're looking forward to it. So as I said, just tell him to keep talking and that'll be fine.
Okay. No, like I say, I think he has a lot of questions to ask you, so I have a feeling you'll probably need to talk a little bit.
And I said, well, if we run out of things to say, we'll say, that's been a quick time. Well, I'll just end the show.
No. I think it'll keep going because he and I have good conversations at work a lot of times. So like I say, I think you guys will get along famously.
I think so too. Anyway, thank you once again, and I won't see you next week. So I may see you the week after, but we'll see how it goes from there. So thank you once again, and bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening. Links for a free subscription, feedback, and everything else we do is at holbrooknewmedia.com. You can find all things Geoff Blanchard at geoffblanchard.com.